Right, well, let's do the sort of the squad stuff. You were hoping for maybe 3 bodies back for the weekend. How's that looking?
Yeah, Rodman, Finlay, Nicholson, all being well today. Will come back into contention. Obviously, Aaron Collins as well. So one more than what we thought. As I say, they've got to get through training today. You know, with I've got everything crossed, as you can see, fingers, toes, knees. So yeah, we it's nice. It just gives you that little bit of optimism. And look, we're still not where we want to be. It'll probably take 5, 6, 7 weeks for that group's kind of gelled in. But you know, the spoke to us during the week about that kind of light at the end of the tunnel, and there was some, you know, bigger physical output. We'd gone from I think 94k against Mansfield to 105k in the game. So there is positive signs, albeit you know we're a little bit shot shy and struggling for a little bit of creativity at the minute. But yeah, look, we've got those bodies in the building for a reason, and we're hoping that when they come back, they'll start to showcase what they can do.
And you talked about wanting to improve your squad. Is that getting closer? Is anything imminent?
Yeah, well, look, we're working on a few things in the background. I was on the phone all day yesterday, speaking to other managers in divisions above, seeing what they've got coming out, seeing what kind of options might be on the market. And it's interesting when you speak to other managers, obviously certainly at this point, because a lot of them being more experienced than you, and just getting their take on things. You know, you think your group's the one that's, you know, struggling for momentum, and when you speak to them, you know, they're the same. I spoke to Cookie yesterday, Steve Evans, Nathan Jones, who else did I speak to yesterday? There's someone else in there, I think. Anyway, and I was just talking to Cookie about his group. You know, he's like, look, we haven't got our best players on the pitch, which we're in a similar vein, and until you get them on the pitch, you don't know where your teams are and what you've got. So, you know, that optimism for the new season can be tapered a little bit when, you know, you lose your opening game and then you get knocked out in the cup on the Tuesday. But also, you've got to understand that, you know, the best is yet to come. And as I say, once you start seeing those guys return to the training pitch and you start to see those key components going into, you know, square pegs and square holes, I think we'll really start to motor and cause lots of teams lots of problems.
Yeah, and I suppose in the meantime it's about keeping the group.
Danny Cowley was the other one I spoke to. Sorry guys.
Is it about keeping the players, not that lost positivity, but you know, when things aren't always going your way, it's very easy to just sort of start looking at your shoes a little bit. So how do you keep them looking ahead and where you want them to get to?
I don't. You know, you want to win every game. I just don't mind. I don't mind. You know, the fact that there's struggles in a season. You know, where every team I've been part of, there's been, you know, periods where there's a struggle. You know, whether it's you start the season really well and then you plateau a little bit and there's a little bit of a flat start and you have to respond, or you start like a house you start a house that's been burnt down and then you build your momentum over the course of the season. The main thing is that at the end of the season we're sitting in the part of the table that we want to be. I think we've recruited as good as anybody in the division. I think, you know, and that's the key. Is we don't have to recruit as good as Man City. We have to recruit as good as anybody in our division to finish in, you know, the promotion shake-up. You know, we've lost to a team that's fancied in Mansfield on the opening day, and we're 30 seconds away from, you know, getting a result, or an iffy referee's call away from getting a result, without playing anywhere near the level of performance that we would look for. Many factors for that. Then we play last year's champions, Cheltenham, who were 4 years in, well versed. For me, not really much in the game. We didn't create anything really, but you didn't come. We're getting battered, and then, you know, you look at the goals we're giving away and we're watching them back. Got an 18-year-old making his debut at centre half, gets himself in a pickle. You know, makes 2 small mistakes and gets punished by, you know, a League One striker. And that's what he's here to do. He's here to learn that. That opens up the game then, and obviously we didn't look like scoring all night. So once you go 1-0 down, you know, our best prep of winning that game was going to be a set play, which Big Con had a chance back post, Luke Thomas's chance, but we just didn't create enough. And you have to give Cheltenham credit for that. Mickey Duff's sides have been superb at defending. You know, you look at the goal record last year, that's not a big part of their Arsenal was scored, and it's always the shutouts and the defensive side. And, you know, he's an international defender, Michael, so, you know, you have to give him credit for that. And whilst we haven't got a team that's firing on all cylinders or full of the right components on the front line, you know, if you're not doing that against a very, very well organised team that's won your division last year, it's going to be tough. So, you know, Stevenage Saturday aren't the champions of League Two. You know, watch them against Barrow. I know they've had a good cup result, beating Luton on pens during the week. But again, you know, a team that we would expect to beat in our stadium at home, a team that will probably come here thinking this is probably the right time to play Rovers. You know, they're bedding in a new team. This is probably their best opportunity, you know, catching us cold at the start. I always used to think that whenever we played any of the big boys, when I played in the Prem early on, I think if there's ever a good time to play these, it's at the start when maybe there's been a major tournament, maybe they've brought some new transfers in and they're waiting for their group to gel. So, as I said to you, Tuesday night, we'll get promoted.
Looking at Tuesday and on the back of Saturday, not as many chances to create as you would have liked. Obviously, bodies coming back help on that. What have you been able to do on the training pitch to try and just free that up a little bit? Not
really that much. Obviously, we're off Wednesday because lads are recovering. Thursday then becomes second day recovery, so you know you're making sure that everybody's going to be fit for Saturday. Today a bit of the tactical input will go into them, so but we've got to keep them light because we've got a game Saturday, then we've got a game Tuesday. So you can't really alter too much. You're hoping that they take the messages that have been going in consistently on and on and on. But look, Tuesday night we had two centre-halves playing a full-back. No recognisable centre midfielders. Wesley's a 10. Ben Little's meant to be a midfielder but doesn't have the experience. And Josh Graham, for me, long-term position will not be centre midfield. I don't think he's going to be his long-term. I think his best position will be elsewhere. But until we get the components, we can't have a look at that where that is. You know, I think he could be outside centre back in a back three, or I think he could end up playing as a really possession based full back. And weirdly, he says his best position is left back. I can't fathom that out, lads, either. When you say to Josh, where's your best position? Where did you play really well? He said he was really enjoyed playing that left back for Chelsea. Players are strange sometimes, but he's right footed. I mean, I don't know whether that's his best position, but I think he can play so many positions. He's so versatile, so he's a massive component in the squad. I think he's a player of enormous potential, but I think he will start to fully develop once he understands that's my position and I'm going to become a domain expert in that. Push that onto the front line. You've got Harvey Saunders, who's a wide forward, playing in the 9, and Harry Anderson playing possibly on the opposite side to try and get him in the game. And from me for the game, I thought that the match ratings were about right. You know, I read the post and I thought Harry was our best player. I thought he looked like his legs were coming back underneath him. And don't forget, these lads are still striving for fitness. You know, it takes you your first 6, 7, 8 games as a player, trust me, to get the cobwebs of last season and your off-season out, and you start saying, okay, right, I'm ready to go. I feel like I'm getting close to 100%. So we're not the only side in that boat. You know, I'm seeing Julian Nagelsmann's they haven't won a game pre-season, Bayern Munich, you know, so if that's happening with £100 million players, and as I say, I spoke to Cookie yesterday, they've had a big financial splurge in the League One market, struggling for players to get back. You know, he's saying, look, when I get this back, and it's good for me to hear them signing boards, because as I said to you Tuesday, this is the first time my team hasn't fired from out the gate. You know, Fleetwood, first year we started well, second year was an okay start, third year was a bit more sluggish because we were in a rebuild. But look, let's see where we are after 5 and 6 games, and as I say, I'm really confident we can win the game tomorrow.
Yeah, and just psychologically, what would that 3 points do for everybody, for you, for the players?
Oh, that's what you do it for. So that's the game, isn't it? You know, confidence is only taken when you take points out of games. You know, you can play well sometimes and lose, and you know, if that continues, it doesn't carry on that way. You know, I think that's more of a worrying trend if you're playing well and losing. I think we can all, you know, if we can all be honest here, we're not playing fantastic at the minute. We haven't all pre-season, so it's not like I'm expecting, we're going to blow teams out the water. But at some point this will click, and the little bit of a struggle we've been through and last season's shenanigans, I think, will be long gone and signed into the history books for all the wrong reasons.